as you saw earlier, cross-examination of the star witness continued. Mr. Tony Letha, the counsel for the second respondent, there talking, cross-examining Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the second petitioner. So we'll very soon be with you there at the Supreme Court, and we'll be getting some reaction from those who were there to observe the proceedings, particularly the counsels of both the petitioners and the respondents. But of course, a lot of issues had to do with the pink sheets and the code numbers on it, and don't forget that at the point in time the court had to rise and make a ruling on whether to go into auditing of the pink sheets, and so a lot of issues there. But one of the tech joins us, we'll be talking precisely about what happened in court and what reaction we'll get from both sides, the petitioners and the respondents. But the court now says that it has adjourned tomorrow, and we'll be getting more from the Supreme Court very, very soon. So stay right here on TV3. This is the Courtroom Election 2012 petition hearing, and we'll stay there to get the feed from the Supreme Court and to get the reaction of those who were there. Thomas Papu had been in court all day and will be filling us in on what happened at the court and get reaction also from both sides, the petitioners and the respondents. Again, the issues there, the cross-examination continuing, and we're likely to see more of that tomorrow when Mr. Tony Letha continues his cross-examination. But don't forget that the star witness will have to be cross-examined by all counsels of the first, the second, and third respondents. For now, it is the counsel of the first respondent who is doing the cross-examination. We're also expecting to see the counsel of the Electoral Commission and as well as the counsel of the NDC, all of them cross-examining Dr. Bawumia on that particular case, and that will take some time, as you can see what is happening now. Mr. Tony Letha still doing cross-examination of Dr. Bawumia. We'll very soon go to the Supreme Court premises, and we're likely to see Kamala Klucher, who is outside the precincts of the court there, will be telling us exactly the reaction of people who have been part of the process, especially with the counsels. Of course, we'll be finding exactly what has transpired so far and attempts at ensuring that there's a speedy, the process is expedited. And as I told you earlier this morning, the mode of cross-examination was somehow changed to allow speedy trial, and that means that a lot of the pink sheets will now be sent out in lot and not as was done last week when we saw the cross-examination beginning. So Justice Atubuga, the presiding judge himself, signing the note that ensured that the mode of the cross-examination was changed to allow to ensure a speedy expedited trial there. So the court has adjourned for now, and as I told you earlier, we're still waiting for the feed from our people there at the court to tell us exactly the reaction of those who were part of the process. But it adjourned on the note that the court is expected to meet tomorrow at 9 a.m., upon which the Petitioners' Counsel asked that the meeting time should be extended to 10 a.m. because the first petitioner has a matter in court, and it needed to be attended to. So 10 a.m. tomorrow, we're likely to see a continuation of the cross-examination and to see more of what is happening there. So we wait for the feed from the Supreme Court and to speak to Thomas Papu and Kamala Klucher, and we will be finding out exactly from them the reaction of the counsels of both the petitioners and the respondents, and we will also be perhaps picking the brains of people who were there and how they saw the whole process. So we have been showing you live pictures from the Supreme Court, the election petition hearing, which started last week, and of course the substantive case starting last week, right from Monday, when the case actually took off on Tuesday. Now, this is a case that a lot of concerns, a lot of excitement about it, and the concern is to ensure a speedy trial and get the issue settled once and for all. And of course, it has a lot of implications for both governance and security and others, and those are the things we'll be telling you about when we get some of these experts to talk to us about the case in court and how it impacts on both the economy, as we speak to lawyers, governance experts, and security officials. So soon we'll be going over to the Supreme Court, and Thomas Odutepapo will fill us in on what is happening and get the reaction of the counsels of both petitioners and the respondent. So we're getting the feed from the Supreme Court, and soon we'll be linking up with the court, where we'll be getting of course, we're getting the feed from the court. As you can see, court has just adjourned to tomorrow, and we're getting that feed. So you can see in your shots officials of both the NDC coming out, and of course soon we'll be getting there. So let me hand over to the Supreme Court, Kamala Kwiche and Thomas Odutepapo right there.
So we're starting it. Yes. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Well, it's been a very interesting day. As I keep saying, cross-examination is the key that makes or break a case. And clearly, you could see from this point that the witness, Dr. Mahama Baumia, is being put on the real fire. I mean, there's a lot of hard questions coming up, forcing him to make some key admissions as far as we are concerned. You know, he was shown at least 176 categories of duplications of pink sheets, and he made admissions. Yes, there were duplications, but they said they didn't take the two or the multiples into account. Well, the judges will decide on that ultimately. They also went on and raised the issue of the total number of polling stations. Clearly, that is a contentious matter. Right from the word go, we said that we had received not more than complaints, total complaints arising out of 8,621 polling stations. And we still stand by our word. 8,621 polling stations. Now, they claim that they've supplied us with 11,138 polling stations. Now, this is not an idle issue. A polling station translates into figures. So if, like I said earlier on, they have in fact supplied us with 8,621, then there's a shortfall of over 3,300 polling stations which they can't account for, or they are deemed to have abandoned, which means that they would have abandoned about 1/3 of their claim outright. But they claim that we have in our custody 11,138 polling stations. That led to our request, or our solicitor's request, that we should have an independent account or total of the figures. Of course, the court came back and said that, well, that is their case, that they have 11,138 given us, and we are claiming 8,621. So we should just go ahead with our cross-examination, and in the process demonstrate that they have in fact given us only 8,621. But I can assure you that if we are able to establish that they have given us only 8,621, they are in plenty of trouble. they are in plenty of trouble. With regard to the 22, what I may term rogue polling stations, the impression has been given all along that these 22 must have been polling stations which are in mass. You understand? But today, clearly, you could see that the witness was making some admission that they probably must have been in the country, except that they could not easily be identified in the 26,000 polling stations around the country. And I'm stressing, those were his words, that they just couldn't easily. So, I mean, it's significant also that he did make, accept that EC was entitled to make administrative errors or mistakes, just as he, in his evidence, had clearly admitted that they had made errors in their tally. So the case is now hanging around the cross-examination. Cross-examination will continue, and there are going to be real interesting points where you'll be faced with on the issues of biometrics and whatnot. But for now, we think that it's a good cross-examination for us. Yeah, well, you will recollect very strangely, in this whole total, as they claim that they have a total of the presidential pink sheets. Strangely enough, were a mixture of all kinds of other material, including parliamentary pink sheets in their tally for the presidential pink sheet. These are questions which they will have to explain, or I will conclude.
So that has been Nana Tudas, the lead counsel for the NDC. So Thomas, this has gone a full haul the whole day and gone even beyond the 4 o'clock or so time that we've been going. How was the feeling like in court?
The weather dropped to some 32 degrees to some around 28 thereabouts. So in the courtroom it was okay, just that it kept on going on and on. Fortunately for us this time we had questions that were posed to the witness. I mean, I'm speaking about Dr. Mahamudu Baumia. The counsel for the president shifted from the stage where he kept on putting it to the witness that he should identify one pink sheet. So we had some other questions, and that made the session quite interesting and revealing. And for that matter, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia answered those questions, and it took us to some 5 p.m. And that's how come today we are closing quite late. And it's a good session, I must say, despite the long haul.
Now, we actually built to also have been addressed actually by the petitioners, but they are not here actually. We're just hoping to have them anytime soon to speak with them.
Let me make a point. Importantly, what also transpired in court was the fact that both parties were asking for some inquiry of a sort, and it appeared that the court didn't think that they've gotten to that stage yet. And so when the court went on recess, it came out with the fact that, we had some 8,000 affidavits which have been tendered in, even though the petitioners asked for some 11,138 polling stations. They provided some 8,000 affidavits. And so the court thought that, that could still go on with the cross-examination, and so we might not necessarily look at some inquiry of a sort. You remember that when the president of the court was going on recess, he did indicate that parties should agree amongst themselves who should take part or who should conduct the inquiry. But when it came back from recess, the court said that we've not got to that stage yet. We could still go ahead with the cross-examination. So that was very important and in court.
Okay, so we've been listening to our court correspondent Thomas. shortly we will be addressed by the lead counsel of the APP, Madam Gloria Ekufo. She will also be telling us about the perspective of the petitioners. She's just waiting for a while to come and address the media. But interesting times today in court. Tomorrow will be another day. Mr. Tony Lita has not finished with his cross-examinations. Are we expecting him tomorrow to take the same time as he probably have done today?
Well, you could not really tell how a party will conduct its case. It depends on him, and so we cannot predict that Mr. Lita will come to court and say that, okay, I have another 6 hours of cross-examination. You cannot tell, and it depends on the kind of responses that the witness will give. So it's difficult to tell, but all we're hoping is that when we come back tomorrow morning, the case will progress steadily and will be fast-tracked so that we can have other witnesses come to testify.
Okay, so we're just shortly been joined by the lead counsel for the petitioners, Madam Gloria Ekufo, who will be joining us pretty shortly to address the media. Good afternoon, counsel.
Good afternoon.
How did it go today in court?
It went well. Dr. Mahamudu Baumia is still in the witness box. He is still under cross-examination by counsel for Mr. John Mahama. And there was a recess by the court because at a certain point, counsel for Mr. Mahama asked the court to make an order for an audit to be taken of the pink sheets that constitute the evidence which the petitioners have placed before the court. The respondents were not against it, except that we said, contrary to what the counsel for Mr. John Mahama was asking, that the audit should involve only a counting of the pink sheets involved, because according to them, from their assessment, and they allege that from their cross-examination, the number of pink sheets we have brought to court are far less than the 11,000 plus, and they are in the area of about 8,000, and that in the circumstances the court should order an audit. We said yes, an audit should be held, but that not only should the pink sheets be counted, but also the number of votes involved that we are asking to be annulled, and also the violations, the malpractices and irregularities must also be looked at by the referee who would have audited. Strangely, they were saying that no, and that only a counting of the pink sheets should be done. We felt that if you are going to do an auditing, then just as the rules permit, that referee, which is known in legal practice as a court expert, should be able to look at the totality of the evidence, provide the court with an answer, so it will assist the court in making a determination. The court went into recess and came back and said it was at a loss why the respondents were asking for an audit, because they had specifically alleged that our pink sheets were less than 11,000 plus, and that they were only in the area of 8,000. They must have done some studies. They must have conducted some investigation to have come to that decision. And therefore, the court did not see the necessity for any audit. In any case, the court held the view that in 8, they are numbers. And at the end of the day, the court will make a determination based on the evidence before it. So the cross-examination resumed, and that is where we are.
Looking at the way the case has gone today, beyond the specific time, for instance, of 4 o'clock, are we expecting it to go beyond that as the days go by?
That is difficult to tell. On Thursday, when we last came to court, the court indicated that we will always start at 10 and finish at 4. But these things are always subject to the convenience and therefore the review of the court. And therefore today, we started a little after 10, but we see that we did not get finished till almost 5. It is not possible for us to tell what it will be like tomorrow. Indeed, initially the court said we were to start at 9, but we indicated that the first petitioner, Anado Dankwa Kufuado, is involved in another matter in the High Court brought against him by former Supreme Court Judge Justice Bega, and he has to be in that court for 9. We therefore asked the court to allow the proceedings in the Supreme Court to start at 10 as usually happens, and the court acceded to that request. So we'll be starting from 10 tomorrow. So we will get to know from day to day how the times are going to be fixed as it's appearing.
Many times. So that has been the lead counsel for DNPP. My colleague Thomas Adote-Papo will join us, and then we'll wrap up coverage of the process today. She has indicated that a lot more will be happening as the days go by. The times can change regarding what transpires in the court. But going forward, what for you would you make of the case as it's pending?
Well, I expect the case to go on smoothly, like the judges and all other parties involved in the case want the case to go. And indeed, all Ghanaians, the kind of following, the kind of interests that the case has enjoyed should continue. And I'm sure if that is done, we would soon finish the case, because you realize that the judges are serious with the issue. They want an expedited action, and so are the counsel involved in the case. So I expect tomorrow not to be any different, just that we would see an end to the cross-examination, and then we can have Chikata also has his turn to cross-examine the witness and the Electoral Commission too. And then, like we said this afternoon, we will likely see the General Secretary of the NDC in the witness box also testifying and giving some testimony of a sort.
Okay, so that's my colleague Thomas Adote-Papo. Thomas Adote-Papo, I must say. So TV3 will continue to bring you live coverage and updates from the Supreme Court. Komla Kluche
has been our reporters from the Supreme Court, and then proceedings. Of course, the court, we were told, resumes tomorrow at 10 a.m. to continue the cross-examination, hopefully to have Mr. Tony Letha's cross-examination come to a close. Well, thanks so much. If you joined us, we're here tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. The Courtroom Election 2012 Petition hearing will continue, and we'll bring you more perspectives to the issue. Thanks so much. My name is Bright Nanamfo. We'll have more later on News 360 and News at 10. Good evening.